Hello, thanks for coming by. How are you doing? This week, we're going to talk about podcasts. In this week's photo, we can see a microphone and a computer. And this is a very typical microphone that podcasters use when they're recording their voice. And on the computer, you have a very simple, free software to edit audio. And that's it. That's all you need to make a podcast. Making podcasts isn't expensive. The expense is your time. You have to prepare it. You have to record it. You have to edit all the audio, and then you have to upload it to a podcast hosting service. It's not difficult. It's not expensive, but it takes time. I'm going to recommend 5 podcasts that I think will be really useful for you as you practice and learn English. The first one is called English in a Minute, and it's by the BBC. And in this podcast, which is a minute long, you learn vocabulary, phrases, expressions, words. It's really short, it's really useful, and you can listen to it many, many times to really learn the vocabulary and the phrases that are being practiced in each episode. With all these podcasts, I also recommend, if possible, to read the transcript as you are listening to the podcasts. This will depend on the app you use to listen to podcasts, but check it out. Look for the transcript. It should be there. The second podcast I'm going to recommend today is also by the BBC, and it's called English Grammar. This is a little longer, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Each episode practices a particular aspect of English grammar. It's great for revising grammar, learning new grammar, and just practicing listening to people speaking English as they explain the grammar and illustrate it with examples. Again, it's quite short. You can listen to it several times and read the transcript. The third podcast I'm going to recommend today is called Simple English Listening, and it's fantastic for practicing your English listening. It's stories that a guy is telling you at a B1 or B2 level of English. There's nothing too complicated, but it's absolutely fantastic to listen to the stories that this guy is telling you, because they are from all aspects of life, all different types of concepts, modern things, old fairy tales. This one, for example, is about the Titanic. I totally recommend it, and read the transcript. The fourth podcast I'm recommending is the podcast I was listening to before. The rest is history. This is authentic, real English. It's a super popular podcast in Great Britain. The hosts speak in such a calm and relaxed manner, explain things so well. I absolutely recommend it. Not just for practicing your English, but for learning about loads of great historical facts. Each episode is about an hour long, so you need to sit down, maybe with a nice cup of tea, and concentrate on listening to what they're saying. Read the transcript. Look through the list of episodes, choose a topic you think is interesting for you, sit down, relax, and listen, and read. The fifth and final podcast I'm going to recommend is my podcast. This is selfless self-promotion. It is, in fact, the audio of the advanced podcast video that I put up every week on my blog. And here I have to confess something. Full disclosure. This is made by AI. I upload the text of this blog onto Notebook on Google, and I ask it to create a conversation, a podcast of 2 people talking about the topic. It's brilliant, it's amazing, it's scary, it's extraordinary what AI can do nowadays, but it's really useful for you listening to English, practicing your English and learning vocabulary and phrases. Listen to it, read it, you can watch the video, make notes about it, enjoy it.
By thousands of years, they never met, and yet they all independently invented the exact same monster.
The dragon. It really is the ultimate historical anomaly, isn't it?
Okay, Let's find out more about podcasts. Where does the word podcast come from? Who invented podcasts? Why have they become so popular? Why is everybody talking about them? Let's find out more.
So for almost a century, audio consumption was entirely at the mercy of the clock.
Right, you had to be there.
Exactly. You sat by the radio dial at 6 p.m. sharp, or you just completely missed out. Broadcasters basically held all the power. But then a few developers essentially shattered the clock. And welcome, by the way, to today's deep dive into the history and, well, the mechanics of the very audio medium you are consuming right now.
It's actually a pretty wild story.
It really is. And get this, a surprising trivia fact from our sources. The word for this medium didn't even exist until 2004.
Wait, really? 2004?
Yeah, 2004. A journalist named Ben Hammersley sort of cleverly smashed together iPod and broadcast just to create a marketing hook.
That mashup actually perfectly frames our whole mission today. We are tracing how a pretty niche 1990s tech experiment completely bypassed those rigid radio schedules. I mean, It shifted the power directly to you, the listener, and fundamentally reshape how we consume news and debates.
To really understand that power shift, we have to kind of look under the hood at RSS.
Right. Really simple syndication.
Yeah. So think of RSS like a digital paperboy. Instead of visiting individual websites, like walking to a bunch of different newsstands, RSS just delivers the content automatically. But the real mechanical breakthrough happened in 2000.
With Dave Weiner.
Exactly. Software developer Dave Weiner changed the game by adding this thing called the enclosure tag to the RSS code.
And that enclosure tag acted like a digital tow hitch. Because before this, massive audio files would just break web pages, or you'd have to sit there and manually download them.
Which was miserable on dial-up.
Oh yeah, completely miserable. But Weiner's code allowed a text feed to sort of drag a heavy audio file seamlessly in the background directly to a media player. You didn't have to hunt for it. The system acted as a tripwire, fetching the file the exact second it was published.
It's just a brilliant mechanical hack.
Oh.
It immediately got picked up by early pioneers, like journalist Christopher Lydon in 2003. But I think the format itself was really forged by Adam Curry.
Oh, absolutely. The former MTA presenter.
Right. Since he helped write the script to move these files onto iPods, his own show, The Daily Source Code, actually established the informal conversational tone that still defines the medium today.
Well, and the hardware is a crucial piece of that tone. I mean, Curry wasn't reading stiff news copy from some polished studio. He was speaking directly into a microphone while just, going about his day.
Yep.
And because the files were downloaded to an iPod and consumed via earbuds, the audio wasn't booming from a communal living room radio anymore. It was literally inside the listener's head.
That physical intimacy is huge. It completely changed the psychological relationship between host and listener.
Definitely.
But, getting those early RSS feeds onto an MP3 player was still incredibly clunky for the average person. You had to be pretty tech savvy.
Very true.
So how did we get from these niche audio blogs to a global habit? The inflection point for public expectation really happens in 2005.
Right. When Steve Jobs baked support for this directly into iTunes, that aggregator essentially solved the UX problem overnight.
It made discovery so easy.
Exactly. By removing the friction, iTunes permanently established this on-demand expectation. Even massive legacy broadcasters like the BBC had to capitulate and offer their rigid radio programs as downloadable files. The convenience was just too addictive to ignore.
And that addiction to on-demand culture really set the stage for 2014 with Sarah Koenig's Serial. The sources kind of framed Serial as this big content revolution that dragged the medium into mainstream pop culture.
Right, with true crime.
But I actually want to push back on that a little bit. Wasn't Serial's explosion actually more of a technological phenomenon?
How do you mean?
Well, by 2014, we had massive smartphone penetration and Bluetooth integration in cars, meaning you could finally binge listen during a commute without having to physically plug a device into a computer to sync it.
That's a fair point. The hardware definitely provided the frictionless delivery mechanism, but you really can't discount the content itself.
You don't think so?
No, because commuters in 2014 already had access to thousands of audiobooks and music playlists. What Serial proved was the immense totally untapped appetite for rigorous, high-quality narrative journalism delivered in that intimate style.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it married the cliffhanger structure of premium TV with the sheer accessibility of mobile audio.
That makes a lot of sense. And today, that accessibility extends directly to the creators, too. I mean, we've evolved from those raw RSS feeds to multi-platform shows integrated with YouTube video.
Oh yeah, the landscape is massive now.
Yet the barrier to entry remains incredibly low. Cheap microphones mean basically anyone can create. They fund themselves through conversational ad reads or Patreon subscriptions or even live events.
And this is where the social impact becomes incredibly profound. When you completely remove the strict time limits of a radio grid, you suddenly have space for deeply nuanced, long-form discussions.
Right, 3-hour interviews are totally normal now.
Exactly. It structurally democratizes the microphone. It gives underrepresented groups and niche communities a global platform that traditional gatekeepers just historically ignored.
It really is a massive evolution. We've watched a simple line of code, that little enclosure tag morph into this dominant cultural force.
It completely rewrote the rules of engagement. Which actually brings us to a really complex reality that the sources point out, and a final thought for you to chew on. The lines separating podcasters, trained journalists, and influencers are rapidly dissolving. If literally anyone with an affordable microphone can bypass traditional media gatekeepers and build an audience of millions, how might this permanently alter our societal standards for what actually qualifies as legitimate news and debate?
Wow. Yeah, that is definitely something to think about next time you hit play.
Chat about these questions and write down your opinions and ideas. 1. Describe the picture in as much detail as possible. Have you ever recorded your voice for anything? 2. Why have podcasts become so popular in recent years? How do they fit into our daily routines? 3. How do you access the podcasts you listen to? If you don't listen to them, will you in the future? 4. Do you think streaming and on-demand services will replace traditional broadcasting schedules? 5. Describe all the different devices you have had during your life to listen to audio and to watch TV.